Welcome, everyone, to this Settle In Live session. My name is Chiamaka Agali, and I'm the Virtual Events Manager with Settle In. Today, we will cover renting in the United States in collaboration with Refugee Housing Solutions. Please remember when commenting during this live session to not share any personal or confidential information as we are public-facing. During this event, we will provide an overview of different types of rental housing, the U.S. affordable housing crisis, affordable housing programs, and how to rent a housing unit. Types of rental housing. In the United States, there are different types of rental housing. Many people rent homes or rent rooms in shared housing. Each housing type has its own benefits, and different housing types are better for short-term or long-term renting. These include apartments, condominiums, houses, townhomes, motels and hotels, and mobile homes. The availability of each housing type depends on the location. For instance, in big cities, you will mostly find apartments and condominiums, but outside of cities, you may find a mix of apartments, townhomes, and houses. Livable conditions. Regardless, most housing will have a private entrance and include a kitchen, dining/living area, a bathroom, and sleeping areas. Landlords are responsible for providing livable conditions. Livable conditions and requirements depend on what part of the country you live in. Some units may include air conditioning, heating, and an in-unit washer and dryer. Others may include other amenities such as Wi-Fi, a gym, a swimming pool, and a shared gathering space or party room. The more amenities the rental unit has, the more expensive your rent will be. What is affordable housing? The United States is currently experiencing an affordable housing crisis that is affecting everyone. Affordable means something that doesn't cost too much. Affordable housing is housing that does not cost more than 25% of your household income after taxes. The current housing crisis, however, is leading to people to pay as much as 40 or 50% of their post-tax income for rent. Also, there are utility costs that may not be included in the rent. The lack of affordable housing is caused by many factors, but the main factor is that there are more rental unit applicants than rental units available. This problem is worse in certain regions and cities. The highest rents are around big cities, their suburbs, and nearby towns such as New York City, Boston, Washington, D.C., Denver, Dallas, Seattle, Las Vegas, and many cities in California. Apart from Chicago and Minneapolis, the most affordable rents are in Midwestern cities, including Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton, and Toledo, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and South Bend, Indiana, Peoria and Bloomington, Illinois, Green Bay and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Des Moines, Iowa, and Louisville, Kentucky. How do I find affordable housing? If you're planning to relocate from where you first settled, it is important to research the average cost of living in your desired location. You can reach out to your resettlement agency caseworker, your sponsor, or community groups and government agencies that are helping newcomers to find affordable housing in your desired location. You can also ask family members, friends, and work colleagues if they know any open, affordable rental options. If you know someone who lives in your desired location or lives in an apartment building with open units, you can ask them to refer you to their landlords. Sometimes referrals may lead to a discount in rent for both you and the referee. You can also use the living wage calculator created by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology to find the cost of living, including rental housing, for your desired location at the following link, livingwage.mit.edu. Finally, you can use the following websites to find rental units: Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, Rent.com, Apartments.com, HotPads, Airbnb, Forstay, and Rent Cafe. Affordable housing programs. If you are unable to find affordable housing where you live, the government has programs available to help low-income families, including mixed-income housing, which includes buildings that have some market-rate apartments, as well as apartments reserved for renters with lower than average household income, lower for the location. This type of housing is limited and not available in every city or town. Public housing is affordable housing built and supported by federal and local government funding. In public housing, the rent is based on a fixed percentage of household income. There's always a waiting list for public housing, which usually makes it inaccessible to refugees and other newcomers. And finally, the Housing Choice Voucher Program housing, which some call Section 8 housing, is also subsidized by the U.S. federal government, which pays a rental property owner to keep the housing affordable. This housing is limited to people who apply and qualify for subsidized rent. To learn more about these government renting programs and to see what affordable housing options may be available to you, please go to www.hud.gov/states. Applying for a rental unit. Once you've found a place that works within your budget, you will need to apply for the unit and complete other steps, including having a credit check and submitting a proof of income. A credit check helps the landlord verify that you can always pay your rent, as it requires a rental applicant to give the potential landlord access to information about existing and past credit, payment habits, and the types of debt a person has so they can assess your risk level as a borrower. Typical documentation that is needed are proof of identity, which can be a driver's license or state ID, or traveling papers or an I-95 card for newcomers. Ability to pay, which can be a credit report and income verification, or a promissory note from resettlement agency for newcomers. Criminal history, which can be a background check or an I-94 card for newcomers. And rental history, which can be references or a letter of support from a resettlement agency. Credit. If your credit is too low or the landlord is unsure about the risks they feel in renting to a newcomer, they may require a cosigner, which is another person or resettlement agency that is legally required to pay your rent if you cannot. Along with a credit check, landlords usually require that your monthly income is 3 times what that rental unit's monthly rent is, unless it is subsidized housing. You can calculate this by multiplying your monthly income by 0.2 or 0.33. This can also help you find what your ideal rent should cost. Before moving, it is important to have a good credit score. It is important to pay your rent on time and communicate with your landlords if it will be late. Some landlords will report late payments to credit agencies, and this will impact your credit score. You're also allowed to check your credit score for free once a year with each one of the 3 major credit agencies: Equifax at www.equifax.com, Experian at www.experian.com, and TransUnion at www.transunion.com. Your lease. After your application is approved, you must then sign your lease. A lease is a legal agreement between you and the owner of the apartment or house that you want to rent. Before you sign, it is important to clearly understand what is written in your lease, which will define your rights and responsibilities, as well as the owner's responsibilities during the time that you occupy the property. For more information about your lease, you can check out these 2 articles below: the Help Center article and RHS Tenant Toolkit. Questions and answers. Now we'd like to answer some of your questions. While we will not have time to answer all your questions, our team will be monitoring the comments and answering them as quickly as possible. Please remember when commenting during this live session not to share any personal or confidential information, as we are public-facing. You may continue to send us direct messages with any sensitive questions. Can you please give us some information about getting loans and buying a house? Where can we get loans from? Buying a home is expensive and requires a loan, which is called a mortgage. Most banks and credit unions offer mortgage loans for members and non-members. A mortgage application will include a detailed credit check which reviews your employment history, current income, rent payment history, and debt. A mortgage loan has an interest rate, which is what the lender charges a borrower over time for the loan. Mortgage interest rates differ and depend on the cash down payment and the length of the mortgage, which can last between 10 to 30 years. As of 2023, mortgage interest rates in the U.S. are very high. If you are thinking about buying a home, you may also qualify for a federal or state government first-time home buyer assistance program. So reach out to your resettlement agency or sponsor group for more information. Buying a home can sometimes be more affordable than renting, and it can help build generational wealth for the future. Home affordability depends on the loan amount, interest rate, and insurance. If you're interested in home ownership, contact an HUD certified counseling center for help. Rentals are very expensive in California, higher than one's income. For someone who has a green card and social security card, they still cannot make enough to afford rent here. Is there anything that can be done about this? California is very expensive to live in, and it is hard to find affordable housing. If you're still having trouble paying for housing, you should look into assistance programs such as public housing or housing choice voucher program known as Section 8 housing. There may be a long waiting list for public housing or no housing choice voucher program rental units near you, so it may not provide a quick fix. You can also reach out to your resettlement agency or sponsor community group on what immediate or long-term options may be available to you and your family. Thank you. I'd like to thank you for joining us for this Settle in Live event. We covered a lot of information. You can return to this recording to review the information again. We also encourage you to follow the Settle In Facebook page for the latest information you need to know as you adjust to your new life in the United States.